Right?
That's a valuable commodity.
Exactly. And I just tell people it's relative. If I think this meeting is long, I said half's too short. I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised you by coming to.
You did.
Decided not to go downstairs.
Oh, yeah, one. Okay, after my-
When the baby was really
Oh,
Yeah, I
share.
let's do this.
Same here.
Cool.
Just sign in and then you just slide going down.
There we go.
Because it is worth drafting. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a sign-in sheet being passed around. Please make sure that you sign it. We appreciate your participation today. I think most everyone knows each other here, but just in case, I think it's always good to welcome everyone and then do some brief introductions. I'm Jim House, current chair of computer technology, and I again want to thank you all for coming out today. We do have some folks participating online who go to, and appreciate you trying to work through. As he said, he does this 150 times a semester, and go figures today. There's an audio glitch, but we'll get it worked out. So
I'm Dan Thompson with Calvary Christian Academy, and I do early education with our high school students.
I'm Rita Thomas, and I teach as an adjunct for the department, teaching computer science intro. And I also work at Crossroads State University.
My name is Bill Rocks, and I'm the Dean of Career Education, and I appreciate everybody being here.
My name is Danny McGann. I'm from IBM. I'm one of the hiring managers out there in our software department. I'm also the operator for cloud migration for the federal government.
And I'm Dick Soderman, faculty member here at ACM in computer technology.
And I am Marcia Clausen. I'm the administrative associate for computer technology, business and economics, and multimedia tech. I'm the glue that holds everybody together. Yes, you are.
yes, you are. And I believe we have online Dennis Busberg, who is computer technology faculty member. Primarily teaches a number of courses in programming and logic. Steve Milburn from the Allegheny County Public School System. And Derek Jones, Dr. Derek Jones from our Bedford County campus. He is our full-time faculty member representative up there. We just had a couple come in.
I'm good at a flash.
Yeah, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Jerry Hoover. I know you.
Yeah, late as always.
Always friend.
And he works here. He's faculty.
Yeah, I teach cybersecurity, digital forensics here, and a ton of Comp 101.
Yes.
That's the punishment we all have for being computer science.
Oh, I did that.
Oh, I'm Sharon Waltman. I'm from Evercatch Mutual, and I'm here to take Randy Shaw's place today. He couldn't attend, so I'm just filling.
Yeah.
Sharon, how do you spell your last name?
Waltman.
Oh.
Waltman.
Thank you. Rep for Randy, thank you. So looking at the agenda, I appreciate, again, everyone coming today and the introductions. Just a tech building renovation update. Just before I left the office, we did get a message from Christina Koloff, kind of lengthy, that there are, the hope is, and Bill, I'm glad you were here, maybe you can walk us through the process. Did you get a chance to read her email?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that you have a cookie in your mouth. Can you kind of help us?
In a minute.
Yeah. Gain a little insight. I'll do what we call in the entertainment, but I'm going to stall for time. That, as you've noticed, the lobby area still has some work to be done. They are saying that the glass will arrive here in the next few weeks, and that it should be installed, I'm thinking mid-January. They said a couple weeks. I'm not sure where that would fall into play. That said, it sounds like the lobby will be accessible. Then again, that's what they're saying. That said, IT contacted me about 2 weeks ago and said that they are actually starting to clean up the labs, and that most of the labs look like they are functional or will be by the time the spring semester will begin. That said, if we don't have real access through the lobby, either in the lower or upper levels, it really is not going to make a difference. We'll probably end up staying where we have been for our classes, as they are now for fall, because there'll be no way to access the area.
So, but won't we be able to get in this back way even if the lobby isn't done?
Yes, you will be, and that has been the discussion. The problem is that if we have any students with disability and they cannot get through, because the only way that they're going to be able to get to pod C is coming through pod A. And so after Christina had sent that out, because I had read that, I had mentioned to her that you and I were talking yesterday or the other day, and the concern is that if we have students with disability, they're going to have to be able to get through the lobby, and if the lobby is not going to be open. And so I had the opportunity to go on a tour last week. Sheila had taken us over, and the lobby is going to be awesome. The problem is that they had said the class was to be there December the 10th, and then they changed it to January the 4th. And so the gentleman who was with us, I guess, who's the supervisor, he had said January 4th, with it being New Year's and right after Christmas, that might be the middle of January. And then I think she said it takes a week to put the glass up. And so that's both levels. So I don't know if the pathway would be open for students to get through. And then again, there's no bathrooms on this side. You have to be able to go through. And I'm just thinking, if there's anybody that's in a wheelchair, that is what I think will affect it. And so I haven't heard back from her. So, but I let her know that is it going to be open for January 14th on the first day of class.
So is your final summary that we don't know if it's going to be open on that day or not?
Exactly. Now, from what she told me, she thought that everybody could move in towards the end of December.
Okay.
But because we can use these steps.
Yeah.
And
except for the handicap issue.
Right. And so whenever I talked to Jim, and he said, well, what if somebody is in a chair or can't get up and down steps? And I know they also said that the elevator is on site, and I think that they're hoping to have the elevator in, but I don't know if everything's going to be ready on the 14th. So I think that's the issue. And we were supposed to be finished a while ago with that building, and so it's with any other contract job, I guess, with changes and things that,
Why can't we knock a hole in the outer wall of Jim's office and use a forklift?
we could probably do that. We could do that. I think that, I know that people want to get over there, but I'm just thinking class-wise, I think it might be difficult if there are some students that, we need to make sure that they can get into the classroom. So.
And I talked to Bill about that, and basically said, even if it's one student, they cannot access the classroom because of disability or and no access. It's the same for everybody. And I would just rather make that plain and simple, that if that's the case, then we continue. If it's not, doesn't even look like it's ready by the 14th, we'll make contingency plans where we are. Again, the open room will remain as it is for the current classes that ran this past fall. The library will be for all of our Comp 101 courses. Dennis will remain in T3. I will probably have to teach him courses in T3 that I typically would teach in 163. As far as 161, like the history courses and things that run in there, that'll be their heading to figure out.
Yeah,
But
that's,
so, and it's one of those things too that I don't even want to say, oh, it'll be ready by March and then you can move in. I'm just thinking, no, if we'll just ride it all the way out through the spring semester, and then at the end, when everything's beginning to calm down and we have some time before summer sessions start, then we'll.
yeah, I have a feeling, because this room is a commodity for the college,
Mhm.
because they use it for a lot of continuing education courses. And so, because I had mentioned that to Christina about the possibility of somebody with a disability, you know, because Sheila had said, oh, people can go up and down these steps. You know, some people can, some people can't. So, but reminding her of it, maybe that's something that's going to get people moving quicker.
A little bit quicker. So,
So just not to dwell on it too much longer, but I think you're saying that this particular room, maybe we can move over as soon as it's available, because other people want to use this particular room.
Oh, they do want to use this.
So it's not that hard to move this room back. So as soon as the elevator works, no matter what day it is, I think we should move back to this room. Okay. Now maybe the other rooms, maybe the library rooms.
Yeah,
whatever.
that certainly I think would be up to you guys. Sheila made it sound like you guys could be in your offices at the end of December sometime. However, I think it's just that piece that somebody has to be able to get through the lobby. And if the lobby's not open and they don't have the railings up or whatever, then I can tell you, it's a hard piece down for somebody to misstep.
right.
Thanks for the update.
As far as spring classes update, just wanted to let everyone know, and I think some folks knew, some folks didn't, and then it was a surprise to everyone, and I'm sure we're referring to wait lists and how that is no longer, well, technically no longer an option, but if it gets to that point, and so just to let everyone know that if you do want your course to be waitlisted, please contact the registrar's office and they can make some special accommodations. The thing now to tell students is keep going back to WebAdvisor and trying to apply. Although I know for a fact that our faculty and our staff have never done this as advisors or is to put students in multiple sections because they may really like Dick's class, they really want his class, but it's filled up. So instead, just in case that doesn't come to fruition, that somebody withdraws or drops out or they're kicked out due to financial aid issues, that I'm the second choice, that they put me in there. So what that did was have one student waitlisted in one class and one student enrolled in mine, and it would start to elevate the numbers that weren't actually true. And that this was a policy and kind of a process that a number of advisors would do, which really wasn't the way it's supposed to work. So that's why they got rid of the wait list process altogether. So understand we're paying for the sins of others. And so that said, we just have to just adapt to that. And it's just going to be a little bit of more work on, to tell the student, keep looking at the course schedule to see if seats are available for the class. If it gets down to a real issue that all of a sudden you realize that 5 students are trying to get into a particular section, please contact me and let me know, because we can always attempt to open up another section, which would be good for everyone. So just, and looking at some of the numbers, I looked at Derek's up in Bedford. We have one class that's Comp 107. Currently only has 1 student enrolled, but all of the other classes are looking pretty good. I think everyone else's, unfortunately, some of my courses that I teach look a little peaked. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of soul searching to figure out what I can do to get some enrollment. And that's just me. So, but then again, not only do I have release time, but I also then have to carry a full load. So even if 1 or 2 of my classes get canceled, I'm still going. It's just a matter of me trying to figure out what I'll do with that extra time. as far as that goes. So things are looking pretty good. And typically and traditionally, courses in the spring tend to have lower enrollments than fall. So it's not necessarily a surprise, but then again, to me, I think it's still early. So we'll see what happens. Bill, I'd like for you to, since you're here, and I appreciate it. Some of the announcements I want to talk a little bit about is Perkins. We have a meeting next week on Perkins 5, and it'd be interesting. So I think for the adjunct faculty as well as the full-time faculty and PAC members that are here, to explain what Perkins is and the changes that are being made and why it is important that we start thinking about it now.
Well, and the importance of why we are here. This is, that's right, having a PAC meeting, Program Advisory Committee.
Please enable your
is part of
microphones
Perkins is,
and say something.
It's federal grant money.
Whoa.
And it has to do with career education. And Perkins, we had Perkins for last year, and we had it reauthorized this year by the government. And we usually, as an institution, get
Not on the video.
over $200,000 worth of federal money, but it comes through the Maryland State Department of Education. We have to actually write an agreement. And so when we talk about the equipment that's needed for our students to the tools of the trade, we can certainly order those, get those ordered through Perkins, professional development, instructional aids. So all of that can come through.
Yeah.
What is known as PQI. PQI data is the Program Quality Index. And last year, Allegheny College in Maryland, I'm very proud to say this, and it's because of our program directors, we were the only community college that had met all of our thresholds. Not only did we meet them, we exceeded them. And so it is, and by the way, it's the money is for K through 12 and community colleges.
Say something again,
So
louder.
Based on our Pell Grant.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Now we're cooking. Yes, we could hear you.
So it looks like maybe that's something.
So, but
Okay.
anyway, so the money is for K through 12, and so we work very closely with the Career Center. And so whenever we look at.
So even though YouTube was talking there,
Certainly
go to the meeting
comes
was,
out of the career.
I didn't realize that go to
The
a meeting could
career
go to a different place
area,
than the normal audio. That's-
With the State
can't.
Department. So,
Yep.
So it's always exciting because now we know in the next 5 years, since it's reauthorized, we should have the federal dollars. We're always worried if it's not going to be reauthorized. But the changes this year that is coming down is like everything else, more accountability, more accountability. And so, anything that we do for any of our career programs, it has to be tied directly into that PQI data. So, which, because we're good at being able to say, so for instance, if Jerry wants to go to a conference, we can tie that right into PQI, but we have to make sure that we do a darn good job of tying it into that PQI data and how it's going to assist the cybersecurity students for completion. The other piece, which can sometimes be difficult and where a lot of schools have problems is with our non-traditionals. Our non-trads with the federal government has to do with women in computer science. Okay, that is the more women that we can show is going into STEM, that piece that becomes a plus. The problem is like, trying to get females into auto tech, males into nursing. And so everybody has more women into our forestry program. And so the institution is evaluating on that. So how many people apply to come in, how many people are successful, how many people complete, especially our non-tracked. So that's what Perkins is very beneficial to the career programs here at the college for professional development and be able to purchase additional equipment. So, but we'll be talking more about it on the 12th. So.
Very thorough. Thank you. Thank you. That's a lot.
It's a passion.
That's why I'm glad you're here to speak on that. Because as spring approaches, the spring semester, and if you're thinking, think about some time out in the future for any staff development, for the faculty, any equipment, things like that you might. I think in terms of PQI, I think it also would benefit. It's just my interjection here would also tie it to assessment some way. That would just be icing on the cake as well. So if we can do a little bit of both, that's wonderful. It just means a little bit more writing, but we'll get more detail after our meeting on Wednesday. I just want you guys, the faculty that are listening, to think about that for the next couple of weeks, plan ahead for, it's generally around March, isn't it? Yes. We begin to look at that. As just a couple of other announcements, many of you faculty that are here, staff, as well as the PAC folks, just want to let you know that we have been looking at a new learning management system. We've had Blackboard for as long as I remember being here for 20 years. That may be going away. I unfortunately had class every single time the demos were going on, so I am not really sure where we're standing in terms of have we picked a product. Are we still looking? But I believe the goal is whatever product that we go with, come fall of 2019 is when it will be implemented. The rumors I've heard
sooner than that, June, summer semester.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because our contract is up with Blackboard. Yeah.
So have you heard any substantial information as far as have we solidified?
I have, but maybe you know more officially than I do. Bill, do you have an official insight into that?
I bet you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be Desire to Learn.
Okay.
And we're going to start rolling it out, I guess, in January. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to take us a semester to roll it out, so we can get everything switched over. The team that is supposedly working with us so that we can switch all of our courses over. And I will tell you, I had the opportunity to go to 2 of the presentations, and I thought the one, which was the D2L, was phenomenal. The things that it's capable of doing, in the classroom, and especially when we talk about streaming, there's just so many perks to that LMS, and so much more. Blackboard then said, well, you could do that with us. You could do that with us, but then it was like every day with dollars. They would keep adding like that. So, but with the adding of this LMS, we'll be able to eliminate some of the other things that we're paying extra for, such as Starfish. We can do, there's a way that you can let other people know how well students are doing in your courses and send your messages and that to other people. So there's other, plus the TK20 for assessment. So we'll be able to, it's more robust, so, but yes, I think they were able to secure funding for it, and now they're trying to plan the rollout.
So in terms of training for both faculty and adjunct faculty, there will be opportunities for that to happen. Because I look at Rita, because Rita works at FSU and they adopted Canvas about a year ago, is that correct?
Yes, but I'm jealous because I would have picked D2.
Yeah.
D2L, and of course you work with Blackboard currently with us, so you're an LMS.
And that's my
guru at
job.
this point.
I'm the manager over at instructional designers at FSU, so that's what we did. We designed courses, we trained
Well-
them to use the LMS. You know.
Well, see, and that's the plus here, because now where the LMS has been in IT, you know, LMS has always been overseen by IT. Now it's going to be with the academics and ELETs, so that there's a much closer tie for the academic piece. So the needs, you know, the rolling out of it, the being able to, you know, whenever we're looking at assessment, all of the learning outcomes can actually be put into D2L, and then it can actually determine, and all of that information can be sent to Scott and Arthur and all that. So there's, and that someone's going to be doing it for us. So that's the other thing.
Which is great for as a program chair, writing the reports basically every semester, accessing data, which is on this agenda, by the way, will be a little bit easier to grab a hold of the data and generate the reports that
Most definitely. I think the analytics that we get from there are going to be,
you know,
Just your dashboards alone, you can see it up right in your face. This one is an attending class, this one failed, or how many failed, you know.
And that's,
yeah.
that's the data that we could have then share later on in other meetings, of course, in our reports that we have to generate. Looking ahead, just a little over a month ago, about 2 days, we finished the Office 365. The transformation went, I'm just going to say relative to my perspective, rather, just say smoothly. And you can grit your teeth if you don't agree, but it went. It went.
You could have stopped it, went.
Yeah, we had to. You know, adapt or die. That's what I said. So, so I just wanted to let everybody know that that has moved on. It's now been a month. It was kind of like Y2K. Hold your breath. Oh, we're still here. And so today, you know, it's a little over a month. Things are rolling right along. There are trainings. Keep a lookout in ELETs for you guys that are, you know, faculty, whatnot, on like OneNote and SharePoint and Teams and things like that. Things coming up in January, so that'll be very helpful. We're learning some of the different features and tools that are built into that, which would be nice. So just some general updates. I'm hoping that Derek will be able to hear them. I want to introduce, because some of you are PAC members here may not realize, last spring it was kind of like, I felt like maybe I had offended or maybe had really bad body odor or something, but I lost 3 full-time faculty members last spring. 2 retired. Actually, 1 retired in December, 1 retired at the end of May, and we lost Christy Smith to the private sector in March. You know, 3 really good instructors, 2 of which were maintained our Pennsylvania camp, you know, worked there and really helped. My goal was when they left that Christy would take over almost as co-chair at the Bedford County campus, and then she springs on me, well, Jim, we're leaving in about a month to pursue a career in the private sector. So what do we do? So with a number of people on our search committee, we had Jerry, Dick, George, Chris Crass, Pam Deering from ELET, myself. We had some really good search committee pulled together, and we had, I believe, 3 or 4 applicants. We narrowed it down to 2, both interviewed, and without a doubt, Dr. Derek Jones did a fantastic job, not only at the interview, but also his teaching presentation, and it was kind of us. Bill, you were there too. I'm sorry, I forgot about you being there.
I've been on so many of those, that's okay.
Yeah, I understand. So, Derek, can you hear us? Can you introduce?
Yes, I can.
Yes, can you introduce yourself and say hi?
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Derek Jones. I'm here at the Bedford County campus. Enjoying the first semester so far. I'm glad to be a part of this team. So far, I've been teaching computer literacy, cybersecurity, PC architecture, and also intro to networking.
And that was one of the reasons that Derek was such a, I'm going to use the word blessing, so, you know, keep your ego down, no, is that he was able to run the gamut from introductory courses up to our 200 level classes. So he's very flexible and very knowledgeable and had a broad base, and that's what we were looking for, kind of a jack of all trades for us up at the Bedford campus.
Just so the PAC members are aware, I have 16 years of experience in the IT field, including 10 in a leadership role for Appalachian Intermediate Unit 8. So I come in with a lot of work experience in addition to my education.
Yes. Thank you, Derek.
You're welcome.
While we have an opportunity, can you speak to the PAC about some of the STEM ecosystem meetings that you have attended up in the Johnstown area? Let us kind of give us an update on that.
Yes, this STEM ecosystem is kind of a joint partnership between Penn Highlands Community College, ourselves, Appalachian Intermediate Unit 8, and several school districts and libraries across the four-county region of Pennsylvania: Bedford, Blair, Cambria, and Somerset. And right now, what's happening is we're trying to get an application sent out for some grant money in order to incorporate some STEM programs. And actually, the last meeting we had a couple of weeks ago was basically just a giant brainstorming session. There was about 8 or 9 of us there. And in that meeting, we kind of made a determination about who our stakeholders were going to be, what we bring to the table, what type of activities we would want to pursue, who all of our partners are, and what type of goals and outcomes that we want to get. And I know that there's a Google Drive folder going around with some documentation about our findings so far and what we're trying to collaborate. And if anybody requests, we can certainly make some of that information available once it gets developed. I believe the deadline for the grant application is the 28th of December. So that's what we're working towards now, is just, like I said, just trying to get our information and our ducks in a row so that way we can get that grant out. And I believe Penn Highlands is going to be the one that's actually going to be sending the grant. But like I said, we're working in conjunction with them.
Derek, thank you for the information. So it is kind of interesting that Penn Highlands, who has tended to been one of our biggest competitors in both Somerset and Bedford County, is actually been very nice in working with us with the STEM ecosystem. And so it seems like at Oddfellows would be like Microsoft and Apple getting together to work on some projects to make sure that for the betterment of all in that particular area, because of what we would consider maybe a lack of STEM opportunities for like the high school student. And it's a great way to keep our name floating around, especially the Bedford County area. So it's one of the reasons why we were actually invited. So we decided to be a good opportunity to go, and we have met with a number of people. And Derek's gone to several meetings beyond our first initial. And we're actually meeting, I think, next Thursday early. I'm going to be with Kurt, and Derek's going to come in via Zoom, and we're going to kind of update and wrap our heads around what's up with that and what the next steps are. So, again, I appreciate his work and being our liaison up that way. Just real quick, Tech at the Gap. A lot of you, I know it's all Dave out there, and a number of us. Jerry attended, I attended, Dick attended. Rita, did you get a chance to go?
But a lot of my.
I was there.
Yep, Derek was there. This happened on October 10th. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's next year's. But back in October, I think, I'm going to throw the date out probably incorrectly, it was the 14th. But I talked to Autumn, and this year we had over 240 participants. It's the biggest one we had, and it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah, also we had probably 5 or 6 members of the cybersecurity club out there. So just
Which was great. Frostburg brought a contingency down, but what I really liked is, as I sat in the audience when they had the first round of speakers in the ballroom area, was going around and counting the number of our graduates that were in attendance who are working in the area, and I counted at least 30. So out of 240, if you want to do the math, the percentage of participants there. So I wanted to let people know that indeed our graduates are finding jobs and are working. And that was a great way to meet and see who all was out that way. We are going to come back, and Dave from IBM is here today. I want him to speak about the apprenticeship programs that we have, because this has been fantastic. And he also has, I think he's going to share some of the student feedback. One of the things that Bill and I have talked about was part of our comprehensive program review was to develop a satisfaction survey from our students as well as employee satisfaction surveys, because this is where we're lacking kind of finding out what our students have, what they thought of the program, what are they finding out when they get into the real world, that kind of thing. This would be invaluable information. But that's going to be, we'll come back to that after the break, right? So I just want to go ahead and continue here. PAC, this is, I think the reason I'm lumping these things together is I want everyone to see that our program, especially our PAC members, that we, since about 2015, we are really reaching out, and we have a number of avenues coming into our program that, we, in the past, we just kind of relied on the traditional high school student coming here once in a while, getting non-traditional, I like what Bill called non-trads. I call them muggles. No, you have to be a Harry Potter fan. The non-traditionals that would come in, and that was pretty much it. We did have articulation agreements set up, but they weren't really being used. But since a retooling of the articulation agreement being done online through FormStack that Tom Strickland developed, we've already had 3 or 4 students. I mean, we went 10 years without a single articulation, anybody taking advantage of that. Now we have like 3 or 4 that are in the pipeline right now and doing very well. So that is one avenue. Autumn Becker, who works over in our continuing education, works with the Accelerate program, which we just implemented this. It's been in the works for quite some time. It finally came to fruition this fall. We have 4 students coming through that. Accelerate is interesting, is that we've articulated with our own continuing education program. Almost seems like a no-brainer when you really think about that. But what this is for are non-traditional, mainly non-traditional students who are working, some at IBM, and they're looking and say, well, Bob makes, maybe $5,000 more than I do. Why does Bob? Oh, that's because he has a degree and I didn't. So, and over time, you think, well, let's begin to pursue taking some of these courses that could eventually, for non-credits, eventually roll into the credit side of our program. So, Dick, I think you taught a course this semester, didn't you, for Autumn?
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Taught, trying to think, introduction to cybersecurity to these folks. So, yeah, that's the course that we teach as a starting level for cybersecurity. And it's a base course that they're followed on by Security Plus and Digital Forensics that Jerry's teaching. Those 4 students did amazingly well. Actually, they don't finish for another 2 days or so, but they're all doing amazingly well. So, and they're also taking a networking course taught by somebody else.
Yeah, that would be, if I'm correct, and I want to say Frank Lloyd.
Frank, yes.
Yes, and I just want to throw the right out there just to finish it. Frank Lloyd, but he's an architect. But Frank Lloyd, who is, I believe, I don't think he's full-time, but he is an adjunct professor at Potomac State College, and he teaches networking. He was doing network PC architecture class, and he believes that the students are ready to take their A+ certification exam. He feels confident that they will do well. So that, in addition, again, this is non-credit, so if they decide that they want to further, in other words, they're dipping their foot in the pool now, but if they want to get in waist deep, they can continue to do so. And if they want to dive into a 1-year or 2-year degree, we will then take that and roll that over. So those are courses that they would not have to duplicate. And if they do pass the A+ certification, they can come in under what we call credit by exam, that we work with our registrar's office that says, oh, okay, that said, you don't have to take, obviously, the certification exam review for A+, and also give a PC architecture class under their belt as well without having to take, and probably Comp 219, which is operating systems. So a number of courses that they will be able to come in without having to retake.
They're doing a Sec Plus boot camp over there this week. I've got one of my forensic students is over there instead in my class. But I think he's already worked it out. Robert Lehane.
Mm-hmm.
Is that through the IT Center of Excellence? Is that who, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, through Otto Becker's here at IT Center for Excellence. Yes.
And he's apparently, I talked to him the other day, apparently there's some kind of deal going on where you get ready for the Sec Plus for it's a certification.
So you can see that there are a number of avenues coming into, like I just call them little rivers that come into the pond by which we are our program. So you can see that we have the Accelerate program. We have the
PTAC.
well, I was going to get to that, but I was thinking the articulations. We still have an articulation agreement with Somerset County Technical Center, and we are currently working. I'm going to be meeting with Tom next week as well, Tom Strickland, and Kurt sent out an email about potentially moving or getting some more courses in the Somerset Learning Center up there, such as Comp 107. Don't panic, gentlemen, you won't have to. We're looking at a part-time instructor, so you don't have to drive to Somerset. Who,
Been there, done that.
yes, right.
That was 2 minutes.
And Comp 101, so computer literacy class. We have, so there'll be computer literacy 107, and to see where that can evolve. So we can start bringing. The thing is with the articulation agreement with the Somerset County Technical Center, which is exactly as our career center. When the Somerset campus kind of went away, it was kind of difficult for students to justify coming to ACM because, right, where do we go from here? So I'm hoping that maybe that will generate a little bit more interest. So articulations, again, accelerates. Of course, our non-traditional, our traditional students, and which then leaves us another avenue that I am really excited about because I foresee this being, a little bigger river that funnels into our pond, and that is PTAC. It stands, a lot of you may or may not know, for PAC members, it stands for Pathways in Technology Early College High School. It's been around now for about 2 years. Dick was on the committee, Bill, myself. Basically a planning committee. It was a brainchild of Governor Hogan, who found out that this was something from New York that seemed to work, where we were really going back to 8th graders and saying, hey, if you would be interested in this program come 9th grade, they kind of come in as a cohort, and what they do is, long story short, they can get both high school credit and college credit at the same time, basically a free college education, and they can knock out their high school degree and their college degree in 4 years, if so motivated. But we also set up a contingency plan. I don't want to use the word contingency, and also a 5-year option, and then a 6-year, which would almost basically be a traditional 4 years in high school, 2 years in AC. And with the option, if they so chose, to go on to Frostburg State University to get their bachelor's. Now, understand that it was more directed for cybersecurity in the career, but with a little, maybe another extra year And 1 or 2 months, they could earn their bachelor. They would have to backtrack a little bit for the bachelor's at FSU, but we explained that up front. But we did not want to leave FSU out of the loop at all. And so our first cohort of 9th graders went through last year, and we're mainly focused on high school classes at their high schools, which right now are Fort Hill, Mountain Ridge, and Allegheny. Whoops, I almost forgot who's the third one. So, and of course we're looking at other high schools as well that may be in the area, but those primarily right now, Melissa Kay came off as kind of our representative who goes out to the high schools to help try to maintain the success of these students as far as that goes. So they went through last year. This year, this fall, was the first round of students who have come in. They are sophomores coming in for the first time as a cohort, taking the first college class as a 10th grader, which was Comp 101. Thought that, building the plane as we're flying it, I just assumed it would just be like what any other college class. Assigned this to Dr. Rita Thomas, bless her heart, and we could tell stories. She has done a phenomenal job. I can't express the amount of work that she has done in terms of reporting to the Board of Ed, to Allegheny County Public School System with Melissa, worked hand in hand. Kim Coball works with Dr. Cox, myself, Tom Strickland, because the success of this program is contingent on making sure these students are successful. She has done a fantastic job at doing this, because you have to understand these students, their maturity level. I mean, I don't know about you, when I was in 10th grade, girls and pimples were the only thing I was worried about. So you understand that we have four students to make a career choice by 9th grade to stick with this. So it's tough. And that was one of the things that I addressed the elephant in the room that day about the maturity level, because been there, done that, right? But 22 students, somewhere in that general vicinity, took her course for the first time. And as a cohort, delayed start even, so they had, about 3 weeks less than most. But that's so they could get back into school, get things running, and get acclimated to being back in the fall and then take off. So, so with that said, you understand that, it's their age. This is the obviously first time college course with the rigors therein in line, with the pace and the sequencing all laid out as far as that goes. And technology. Some working with browser, cloud-based material for the first time, like SAM, and all of that. New Cengage books that are online versus hard copy. So a lot of variables in place here that could have really toppled this whole first experience for some of the students. And today we got a message that there are some students that have decided that they saw the writing on the wall. No, this is not for me. They are probably going to leave the program. 3, I believe, 2 or 3, which really at the end of the day is still pretty good in my opinion. They realize that now. This is not for them. It appears that most of the other students in that cohort are doing well. We have like maybe 5 or 6 that have requested an I grade. Again, and they're following the same structure that our I grade students would do. You have definitely laid out a plan. Here's the deadline date. If they don't meet that, then it's on them. The onus at that point is on them. If they fail, they fail. We have given them some opportunities, and again, we appreciate Rita for doing this. This is something we didn't consider at first, but then we thought, oh, we would do this for our college students.
Right.
So why not the PTAC? So that said, we're hoping that these students meet their qualifications and do well. So maybe we just only lose the 3 that have decided this isn't for them. So we have one cohort moving through the pipeline as we speak. The next group, which I think are only about 7 or 8 students who are going through the 4-year option, are moving to Dennis Buzzkirk's 103, Comp 103, which is Lockett. So he's getting probably the cream of the crop. They're the ones doing well. So hopefully he will not have, A, the numbers are reduced, and B, pretty much know we're getting the good students as far as that goes. I don't want to use that term like that, but they're getting the the ones that are really serious about this degree. And so again, I forewarned Dennis last week. Dick and I met with Dennis. We had some conversations about at-risk students. What could we do for student success? Which it's not on the agenda, but I'll talk about that. And we decided that, as long as we keep the lines of communication open, and you can attest that Melissa has been a great liaison. She is only a 10-month faculty member, or not even faculty, but a member at the county, Allegheny County Public Schools. They are thinking that she needs to go to 12. And I think that would be a benefit for everyone.
She's amazing.
So I just want, you want to add anything to that at all?
No, I think my learning too kind of played into that, not realizing what it was. But Jim, you've been great. Like, I think the communication is the key to it all going well. But and it took a little bit longer for the students to get a rapport going with me. You know what I mean? But once that happened, it's been a great experience. So I think coming forward, you guys will see some good students coming through.
I believe that
That's a huge decision in 10th grade. I can imagine 3 people only losing 3. Going,
Right.
this is not for me. I changed my major 3 times in college. So I think it's really great. It's a great thing to do.
And
Can I just add one thing? Because some of the things that I have heard, it has changed when we talk about these 10th graders. It has changed not only their lives, but it has changed their home lives. And I can't remember who the student is. I just remember Jane Bell talking about this one student, and I believe it might even be on, I don't know where he is on the spectrum of maybe autism. But if there's anything that has gotten him straightened around, he's got his own laptop. He is doing his work. He feels like he has a purpose. It has changed the home life for his parents, and it is phenomenal. So, when you can make that type of change in a 10th grader's life and give them some type of direction, I just think that that's awesome.
And just going on piggybacking on that, something I wouldn't know if it wasn't for Melissa. She knows the baggage, the home lives, and just hearing her, you have to sympathize and realize, so it's easier to extend deadlines, and do you know what I mean? Because these are real lives that are changing, and you can see it, you can feel it. So, but that's why she's been amazing, Melissa.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't know half the stuff I know because if it wasn't for her. So.
and so I just know that for faculty that are here and PAC members listening, that moving forward, we're not alone in this. And like I said, is that we do have representation from Melissa, and Kim has been really good too. So again, the goal was to maintain this, keep the success going. This is our first, like I said, this is our first cohort finally taking the first college class. The next round, the 5 and 6, will not be until the following fall. So, and a discussion has been made, how can we make this a little bit more successful, with possibly orientation for the new one, for some of the students coming in. Saying, now that you've had a little bit under your belt, understand moving forward what's going to happen. So they're a little bit more aware rather than we just flop them in their first college class. That said, a couple weeks ago we had a dinner where we introduced the second cohort coming through. And it was really nice to see the 8th graders going, or soon to be 9th, right? Getting their little PACs and doing it. And they really made a big deal out of it. And I think it should be. It made them feel special. That's the second cohort. They will be coming through in another year. That said, 2 cohorts coming through the pipeline, roughly 40 to 50 students. If they continue that, we're looking at anywhere to 100 to 120 students in our program. That's phenomenal. That we know that it could be, if this continues to be successful, that's a guarantee for the most part. So understand, again, see how the little rivers are all flying. So it's been a very dynamic couple years, and so any other creative ways we can bring the people in, that's why we continue to do what we're doing. And so one of the discussions today is, what else can we do to make our program sexy? That's the words we've been using. So thank you for the PTAC. And so I am going to come back to the apprenticeship, but I want to talk about some other things that Dick and Jerry have been busy. And I want, we had a virtual high school cyber competition a couple weeks ago that mainly PTech students came down. It was really neat to see kind of the teamwork between Mountain Ridge students, Allegheny students, Fort Hill students coming together. And we have one career center student come in and work together as teams to try to compete across the state. There was this virtual competition going on. I don't know, how many teams? 14, I think, weren't there?
There were 12 teams on the final scoreboard.
Okay, 12.
3 of them were from here.
So, and I think we were in there, one team I think was in the top 10, but tell them a little bit about.
12 teams, but actually I took your 2 slideshows and put my slides on the back of it, so I've got one great big slideshow. And I put the final scores from that competition in there. We had 3 teams, there's only 12 teams there. Ours were kind of a little bit toward the bottom, but we had some serious problems with that.
Oh, yeah. Can you tell a little bit about the competition, and also, Dick, a little bit about the cyber range of both of you, and then also talk about, which I really am digging, that they've done a phenomenal job this semester starting and running what's called the cybersecurity club. Now they've got some really serious kids in, and we haven't had a club, and we used to have what was called the Love Nuts, which was the Linux user group at one point, but then the guy that was really spearheading that went off to Montana, and so that kind of fell apart. But it's really nice that this is picked up because the kids have been very serious. So please talk about those things.
So there's about 4 things you just mentioned. One of summarize then the virtual high school competition. You started that, but I don't know if you finished.
No, I didn't finish it. Yeah, the virtual high school competition, that thing was announced the 1st of October and went off the 27th of October. Very little publicity up front. I know Jim talked to everybody he ever met in Allegheny County trying to find people that would come to the competition. We finally ended up with about 13 students, I believe. But what happened in the competition is it was all online, bring your own laptop, et cetera, et cetera. This was just after we finished the Montgomery County competition, which talked about too a little bit. But what happened was the guys bring their own laptop and they come into the competition, and we start the competition off, and it's very poorly planned. It was very poorly organized. And it's a cybersecurity competition. Now, how many of you ever had a cybersecurity briefing that says when you go to a secure web page and you get a little pop-up that says the certificate is invalid? What do you do? For this competition, you just click right on through and go right through. That was an indicator that this is really going to be a great competition when their web page has an invalid security certificate. But we clicked on through, and they went in, and what happened on this one was you had to download the files for each problem and then work the problems out on your computer. Well, one of the first ones right up front that I saw was download this jar file and go from there. Now, a jar file is Java runtime, which is an executable. What did your cybersecurity briefing tell you about? Thank you.
You don't do that. Do not.
We're down to 2 strikes right now. I also wrote a 1.5-page report with his over telling them exactly what I'm telling you. So I'm just amazed I still have a job. But anyway, the kids worked fairly well. The problem was not only that, the scoreboard, I couldn't read the scoreboard. It made no sense. And I found a picture of one online this morning. I'm going to put it on the slide, but then I couldn't find it again when I had time. So it didn't tell us where we were at, what we were doing, anything basically. It did have the one that tells us how many points you got. But these kids got to bring their own laptops. They're not working well. We grab our laptops. So they come in trying to do our laptops. Well, another one they got is a DB file, database. Okay, a database file, to get the key to this particular problem, how many files are in column 2 or in table 2 or something, I'm not sure, it's something like that. It doesn't tell you that it's a SQLite database. It just says DB file. I opened it in Notepad software SQLite. But for SQLite, you got to download an app, read it. You can't install apps on these computers.
We don't have admin. So-
Right. You actually can if you open the virtual machine and do that. So we got high school students, I got to teach them virtual machines in the middle of competition. It just did not go well at all. I sent that off to those guys. I haven't heard anything back. I'm hoping that they'll take into consideration and come back to us. I even sent them the link for the Montgomery College thing. You want to
So
go
on a
into
little more
that? You want me
positive
to?
note, sometime this fall, I forget dates, Jerry and I drove 6 students in a van to Montgomery College to participate in something called CyberStar Games. I think that was the official name. And it was a competition of all the community colleges in Maryland could send students, and did. We sent 6. And this one was like that, except it worked. And 150 students were in a big room at Montgomery College with a big display that showed a scoreboard that worked, and with the names of the students in real time who were scoring the most points.
Male and female.
Male and female. There could be some discussion as to whether that's a good idea or not, separated that way, but that's not our purpose here. In any event, our 6 students did quite well. Their names were on those boards. They
We
had
had
a
5 students.
I'm sorry?
Oh, we had 5.
5, maybe 6. I don't know, 5 or 6.
Oh, there's 3 girls together.
Could be. What am I? So
Well, at
you
the
did
end of
well.
the day, we had 4 or 5 or 4 or 6 on that board. Top 10.
Nice.
And that is just, to take one more minute, that CyberStar game is just part of a bigger program funded by SANS Institute to do cybersecurity education to students throughout at least Maryland. I think that's national there. And there's another part to the program that I'm just going to mention briefly, is what they call CyberStar Essentials, which is a semester-long course, or it could be, and has been taught at Montgomery College as a semester-long course. It consists of 43 modules for which they have videos, all kinds of educational materials, labs, and whatever. And sometime we'll have to talk as a department to see what they want to do with that, because it expands all the different courses they might take. In other words, in those 43 modules is PC architecture, Windows, Linux, cybersecurity. So it's really a great shotgun of all the skills. It's the stuff that may fall through the cracks, but it's good stuff for everybody to know. In any event, that's part of the package. So this was a great success. Students had a good time.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
Very impressive.
It was as good as the high school was.
So that's 2 of the things. Let's see, what is another thing here?
Cyber range.
Cyber Range. Okay. So the Baltimore Cyber Range, for those of you who haven't heard of it before, is a company in Inner Harbor, Baltimore, that has a top-notch, high-tech cyber education facility that government and other private industry uses to train their people. And there's a grant to allow community college students, 30 of them last June-ish, to go to it, and 30 of them. And in that cohort, we sent 1 from Allegheny College in Maryland, 30 across the state. This fall, they're running it again. We're sending probably 4 students in December. December 15th, 2 of them go. So this cyber range, just to briefly talk about it, and some of you know about it, but it's, they only can handle 5 people at a time. But it's really a high-tech lab, and the 5 people work together as a team to solve actual malicious attacks that have occurred in recent years. They replay them for the students, and the students use real and actual tools on virtual machines, so it's not dangerous, to find out, like, hey, what happened to this machine that's being attacked by such and such? And they use the tools that professionals actually use and shoot the bug, and the instructor helps them, and it's just a great experience. So they do one malicious software in the morning, attack, and in the afternoon they do another. The students get 1 day there. Jerry and I went for 5 days last January to do all of the scenarios that they can play. Students do 1 day. They got money for 80 students to sit there in this time frame in December. In fact, their challenge is to find 80 students. Anyway. But anyhow, that's a different problem. So they've got most of those slots filled. So, and there's industry partners that the Baltimore Cyber Range has. That means companies that they work with that want to hire people that have gone through that training and have done well. And one more final thing is the Cyber Range people are measured on their success. So what percentage of the trained people get jobs within 3 months? So the people that run the range, since they want another big multi-million-dollar grant, are highly motivated to find jobs for our students that go through it. So that's good because they have connections with industry and they want them to get jobs.
The back end of that cyber range, there's 5 workstations for the students to go through, but the back end of that range is a complete local area network through the DMZ into a wide area network. And there's Linux, Windows, and I don't know what all other kind of machines running in the network that you have to go in and find. And the way that you know there's a problem is some guys looking at the IDA and it pops up some message and suddenly he starts hollering at other guys in the room and then you have to go dig out what it is. I had a guy, Joe from Montgomery, when we were there, sitting right next to me like this. I'm sitting there fat, dumb, and happy. He said, remote into that and find out what the hell's going on. Okay, so have to remote into one of the servers and see what that. And that's how the whole exercise goes.
It's very realistic. I mean, it's actual tools, actual bugs that are being replayed that have happened on the internet. Just to give you an idea of how high tech it is, not that money is the important thing, but they charge the list price for a day of that training is $2,500 per day per student. This is like as good as it gets for cyber training. So that's
exciting.
Questions on Baltimore Cyber Range. Was there one more topic that we're going to
Just about the Cyber Club.
Cyber Club. Okay, Jerry and I have been the advisors to the Cyber Club. We started last January-ish. Why don't you talk a little about the Cyber Club?
Yeah, we've had basically 2 semesters the Cyber Club's been running. Right now, basically, the club has, I'm not even sure how many members we've got really signed up, but the officers, 3 of the officers are female. The president's female, the biggest go-getter you ever saw. Stay out of her way when she's on that. But some of the things we've done, we do training in here. We have a meeting once a week. We do training. We've had people donate stuff to us. Those computers on the desk over there are donated to the club. We had a project last semester, which was a Methodist church in the Vale. We went in there at the invitation of the pastor and basically laid out the church and installed Wi-Fi all 3 floors, top to bottom. And we beat out a commercial outfit that gave them a quote for $6,000 to put in Wi-Fi. We had actually got Wi-Fi to all 3 floors. It cost them $167. We didn't charge labor, but then we came back. We went back once this semester because they had lost Wi-Fi in the basement, and we found out because the router is sitting on this little rolling thingy with a computer that runs their sound system in the basement. When they roll the thing out, it unplugs the router. So we plugged the router back in and still didn't work. So we went up to the pastor's office and I found the cable that was unplugged. But we've done that. We do training in here. In fact, some of these cyber range events, we'll put them up on the wall, up on the board in club meetings, and we'll work through some of these problems just in club meetings. And basically anything else we can find. We've got 2 of these computers over here were given to the club by a lady at the church. I went to church first of this semester back in September, one Sunday morning, you can believe me being in church, and gave them about a 10-minute briefing on cybersecurity. And this lady calls later and says, I have 2 computers that I want to get rid of, but they have our personal information on them, and I want to make sure that doesn't get out. So we can wipe them. I told them we can do a forensic wipe of all your hard drives so you know all your information. She gave me a laptop and a desktop for the club. All I had to do was wipe the drives. come in, one of our little club exercises, like drives. The laptop, we reset, it was on Windows 7, I believe, wasn't running. We reset it to a factory Windows 7, no users, no files, no nothing. And we actually sold it to a club member yesterday to give to her mother. Then she says, I'm going to give this to her, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to give her my own. But we got that. Dick has run up a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of monitors in the back that we're thinking of renting to students, especially like in the forensic course. Because 2 monitors is really what you need when you're doing forensic. So we got stuff like that going. We're still looking for more projects, more things to do. And we got some real go-getters. The high school competition here on the slideshow that I put together, I had a picture. It's got 9 of the 12 students that were in the competition, and plus 5 members of the cybersecurity club that were here that day to help out. And so the club's going, running.
Can anyone join, or do you have to be like a major? Like, can anyone join?
I think you have to be a student.
I mean, yeah, I
In
realize
order
that.
to,
But I mean, does it matter if they're like in
we talked about this
college?
yesterday. Now next week,
Flyer
I'm
says
going to this
wannabes.
PTech breakfast or whatever the hell it is that you told me to go and I went.
Yes.
Anyway, we were talking yesterday, and what we want to do is offer the PTech students that are interested membership in the club for I think we're talking about $10 a semester. And what you have to do to be in the club, since we're running on Blackboard right now, I'm sure we'll update, but you have to have an ACM email account. If you have an ACM email account, then we'll sign you up on the club. You get Blackboard and all the stuff we post on there. We try to either use GoToMeeting or otherwise record all our meetings, so we've got all that stuff available for students like that. And we're always looking for projects. So,
Yeah, it's great. They have students, it's something that they're interested in, and they can share with their peers, and it's a win-win.
Yeah. It's interesting, just some of the things you share. I teach at Calvary. We have kids that wipe the machines, they'll install it, they'll put them on the network. And so this may be an opportunity for us to jump on board with some things you're doing as well.
sure.
I teach that to my 11th,
Well,
12th.
Rick, back from taking the gap, we had one guy offer to come in and show us how to pick locks. And then we said, yeah, sure, why not? Always train some other breaking and entering artists.
Right.
He said, yeah, but actually, when I come out to do it, I'll bring my 12-year-old son because he's the one who's really good at it.
In fact, I had 5 students lined up to come out to the cybersecurity, and one by one, there was something I didn't check with my mom and this and that, so we ended up not bringing a team. Calvary was going to bring a team that also. So,
Well, we want to, we have been talking all semester about trying to put something together ourselves. Since Montgomery College, we were talking about that, but this came down, so we just grabbed theirs. But I believe Angela, who's club president, I believe she'll be here next semester, at her last semester. Angela's a young lady who's really good. She's got a 20-year-old son, bachelor's degree in nursing. She comes back to do cybersecurity. She's a Boy Scout leader. She's got 2 speeds, I think, so full go and stop. There's nothing in between. But she grabs stuff and we take off. Hell, we're selling knee sticks upstairs. She sold me a $20 bag of popcorn the other day.
Maybe we could do something together with your school.
Oh, yeah.
Cyber
Yeah,
Club.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that more later.
yeah.
And we do some of our Thursday stuff that we have done in the past is it kind of goes out on Blackboard on an announcement. The club's meeting at the church this Thursday. So we all go to the church and we find out what broke and we fix it and then we come back. Or, if we get another project somewhere else, we'll meet it there. We can be about anywhere, one way or the other. And otherwise, we can also come in with those meetings and link everybody else that way.
So something from Calvary, if you come out to Calvary. We've got, I teach my kids, they work on our phone system, on our camera system. I do everything I can to give them as much heads up as they can. Those are interested. This year I've got 2 that are, I give them a project. I have as simple as taking slides and turning them to digital photos. We just projected them on the wall rather than using the device. Of course, when I pulled the slides out, they had no clue what they were. You know,
What did he say? That's good.
What?
so, I try and give them opportunities to prepare them for if they're going to go into that. And I know one that has talked to me about cybersecurity as a 10th grader, so I look forward to following up on this.
Well, we do a lot of stuff here too, in class as well as in the club. We use virtual locks, virtual machines. We have absolutely no admin rights on hardware as faculty. So we've got virtual machines installed on all our computers. We go in there and we can do anything we want to do. And one of the things I teach is how to install virtual box, how to install virtual machine on top of it, and basically set up a virtual network. My laptop, I've got 18 gig of RAM, and I can run completely out of nothing but the.
So let's coordinate it. It sounds good. We have kind of skipped ahead and covered our stuff and skipped over.
Oh, no, let's come back.
Okay.
He was going to be the icing on the cake. That's the last thing.
So before we get to that, so you guys are talking about maybe doing like a cyber competition with you, like a college
Yes.
here. So let me know, because, IBM might be able to, help out some stuff. So,
Great.
because I think that's a chance to get credit in the high school kids. So,
Something that we've been.
I can't promise it, but I can promise I will ask all kinds of people about it. That's not really my area.
Before I get to you, which is.
He's really
I literally leaped over you because I wanted to segue in here to kind of go back to the beginning. We talked about renovation on the 11th hour yesterday. We have received an email from the architect about potentially getting student input for this phase 2 project. That said, so just to give you an idea, on Monday at 9 a.m., the directors that all work that will be in the tech building are meeting with the architect to kind of share their vision, concepts, ideas, complaints about the next stage or phase, as they call it, of the tech building renovation, which again will include the entire building. On Tuesday, and I think I sent you guys out an email last week. Tuesday, it wasn't 1, but it's now bumped up to 12:30. At 12:30 on Tuesday, they are just going to specifically meet with the computer technology department. That's why I asked you guys be there to share our vision of how you would like to see the classrooms. What kind of things are we thinking about, not just now, but say 10 years from now, how we want to see things unfold. Last night we get an email that says, because it's finals week, students are gone, I don't see them. Hey, let's have student input too. Okay, where are we going to find students at this point? But if you could, Jerry, if you could reach out to the cyber club students and see if they can come Tuesday at 12:30 T119, because we're missing our demographic if we don't get input from our students. That would be insane not to do that. But that was almost a last minute thought. So that said, I think because we do have go-getters, and I really like, Ms. Bisco, that she will let you know. And I would love to see her there because she would be very vocal about what we would need, what we would do to be successful moving forward with the way that the building needs to be done. So just want to throw that out. Please invite the cyber students. Tuesday, 12:30, T119. Okay. Dave, with that said, Dave from IBM has worked this past year. PAC, this has been very exciting for us in the fact that with IBM, they had mentioned it and it came to fruition around June, and then shortly thereafter, the first group of apprenticeship program, Marissa Miller came and talked about it, and then around June, the application development team said, hey, we're actually looking for apprentices. And I'll let you describe all the details because it's fantastic. And the logistics there. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the story goes that there are X number of students who applied, and not just students, but people from outside of the area. And from there, they had a technical interview. And then they had the basic behavioral interview, just like you would typically do. So there, from the technical interview, they narrowed a number of people down, and then they went on to interview. And I'm not sure initially of the big numbers, but ultimately in the end, 3 of our students at my group were selected as an apprentice. They're actually being paid, and they're moving forward. If they do complete their other training and become successful, they their salary goes up. So fantastic opportunity. Shortly thereafter, a couple of weeks later, the cybersecurity team at IBM said, "Hey, we too are doing our summer cohort," and I believe that they had now there. I heard the numbers were like 60 some people applied. They narrowed it down to 5. 2 of our cyber kids got into that, so that was really good. They just had another cohort where I guess it was the application development.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not sure that we kind of didn't know what happened with that. I'll be honest with you.
We're still working through it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
We still haven't heard anything from Trey or anybody or Cecilia on the cyber yet,
Right.
as far as this goes. But they're looking. Did you guys increase the number from 5 to 10 in terms
For
of
the
cohort?
developer one. So,
Yeah.
The cyber.
well, the
What's the count?
cyber, I don't know the cyber numbers as far as where they're going to go. I got to go back and talk to the trades so we can figure it out. But I mean, just yesterday I was coordinating with somebody and working through cybersecurity I needed for my project, and I looked at it, happened to be an apprentice. So we're actually using them. I mean, they're engaged in working with the clients, that kind of stuff. So for the application developer side, I was asking Timmy Hager, my leadership out there, asking this yesterday. It's like, how many seats we're going to open up? And we're planning on opening up 10 seats in that apprentice program for the application developer for June. So that's the bare minimum. Now, she said, if you can guys get people to pass our interview process, we'll hire them. So the limit really is almost infinite, right? There's definitely a number. We can't hire 100 people. Well, if I could hire 100, we couldn't hire 1,000. But I mean, I'm serious. Like, we can't find enough qualified people, and what we're trying to do is open up different avenues, just like you guys are, to get more people in. So, if you have students that, are thinking about it or whatever it is, and they don't have to have an associate's degree to apply for this program, right? It's definitely a plus, because a lot of things you guys learn during your associate program, we interview on and it helps them out. But, if people are interested in computer science and have done some other things, and maybe take like non-traditional or something like that, take a couple computer science courses, they're not know they can get the rest of the requirements for the associate's degree, but we can definitely interview them and go through it. But we've been having a hard, just to be completely transparent, we've been having a major attrition issue, and that's kind of reminiscent of we bring people from all over the country, and the percentage of people who would bring in from like Texas and California and places like that actually stick around is very, very low.
You mean they don't like to live in Rocket Center? Don't answer that question.
Yeah, you remember what's another conversation, but we do, and the people we have that come through like FSU traditionally has been our highest percentage of retaining them for a long period of time, and actually they almost all became leaders at some point over a number of years. So we're trying to look at different avenues, and ACM is a key part of that. And we feel like, for one, the motivation level. I mean, I was one of the children, one of the students that I was talking to that now works with us, Billy Mellon, right? I don't know if you guys remember him. Well, in his first 2 weeks.
You say Billy, we called him William.
Right. Well, I called him William the first 2, and then found out he was by Billy. Maybe I think that too before kids change their name as they get to different jobs. Yeah. So he was like, going through stuff. He's like, this is a real job. Like, this is a career. I'm like, yes, it's a career. This isn't McDonald's. We're not. This is a partnership at this point. We're trying to help develop you so you can help us provide for our clients, right? And the commitment's been great. I mean, the 3 that we hired, we have a very stringent program that we've developed over years to bring, kids in that are recent graduates and get them ready for enterprise level kind of engagements, right? Because we work with enterprise customers. It includes a lot of different aspects of technology and working with different frameworks and working as a team, that kind of stuff. And, we talked about back in, last, May or June, what should we do for the apprentices? And we decided that we'll do absolutely nothing different and just see how it goes. Because, the best thing to do is just let things happen, we can adjust on the fly. And in reality, there hasn't been really any issues from that perspective. They've held their own. You couldn't necessarily tell side by side from, some of the kids coming from, major colleges like Virginia Tech, that kind of stuff. I mean, they haven't really from that perspective. Now, resume-wise, I'll just be honest, they're all terrible when they start, right? It's like I'll interview the person, look at the resume, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't match, right? You know, they're kind of weak in that perspective. So we have some work there, but you know, that's something we can handle. No big deal. And getting them on projects has been a little higher than demand. It's taken a little bit longer, just because of the fact that initially they're being compared to people with 4-year degrees, and the product manager like, okay, well, we're first. But at this point, they're all engaged. Every one of them are working and providing back to their clients, that kind of stuff. So it's been, my curriculum has been very successful. We want to expand it as much as we can. So if you get them through your programs, get them to the point where they're ready for our interview process, we'll hire them.
So are projects like the thing you think would be more helpful for them, like as students here?
So
when you say projects, define what you mean when you say projects. Because I think it's different than what you're thinking.
Well, I was thinking of a big thing
mean
towards
real
the end
jobs.
of the semester, but yeah.
You mean real jobs.
For IBM's projects, their actual work. Because the question is, and there's been some debate, some discussion, maybe I think Dick and I are on the same page. For your apprenticeship program, are you looking for students who are pretty much that they're out of school? Could a student be technically going to school, taking courses here, and going through your apprenticeship program?
Yeah, they could.
They could, okay.
But
I was thinking that it would be more or less for graduates who really focus
so
on yours.
It's a full-time 40-hour-a-week job.
It is, so they have to be night classes.
Okay.
Online. We don't teach
Or
night
online.
Night or online. I've got 2 working out there that are in digital forensics. I only saw them in first class.
Right.
Okay,
We're
so
IBM,
it's not
we work
out
all
of
the
the realm of
time.
possibility.
So
It's
they
not. If they can
do it all online.
Okay.
But that's the beautiful thing about online learning.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Now,
Okay.
Robert, hang on.
it's a year. So basically, we have a place we put our career degree program. The apprentices come in, one step below that, and after a year, they have the training we do on the job, and they have this other additional training as well. So to do all that, they get promoted into the same level. After a year, sort of considered the same exact level as someone with a degree.
Let's get ready to leave. I'm sorry.
It's been a pleasure being here with you guys. Thank you.
Take care.
I look forward to meeting with you
Yeah,
again.
we'll talk more.
Okay. Yes.
I've got that one student that, he's out there working help desk right now, but, Robert Hank. And Robert supposedly was signed up for SEC Plus next semester, but he got a slot from IBM to come take this SEC Plus boot camp out here this week. He just told me the other day that if he passes this and passes the SEC Plus exam, gets a certification, they're gonna move him straight up to the side. So,
But he works at ABL right now, not at IBM.
where's IBM?
IBM is at ABO.
Yeah, it's the same.
So ABL has a number of companies with it. ATK or Northrop Grumman, I guess now is the major leaseholder. IBM is the second most major leaseholder.
Well, I might be wrong on this, but I thought he was actually employed by ABL, who is owned by, what's the overall company that owns ABL?
Well, ABL is owned by the
Wow.
facility itself. Northrop Grumman is.
See, the user in ATK.
They own ABL.
They are the primary leasing of ABL.
Anyhow,
It's like,
okay, so anyhow. Yeah, so it's great. We have
Well, that,
I would say
I'm glad-
a positive, disproportional amount of students in a positive way that have gotten into the program.
yes.
In terms of so many people applied and the people that got in, their percentage of them were in ACM. It's great.
Yes.
We're very proud of that.
It should be.
Yeah, and we're thankful for the opportunity, especially
Yeah.
because of the programming option, of course, in the cyber as well.
Right.
So that, using that, understand, we like to market that.
Well, yeah,
And
definitely market it.
And
Like,
the
I
stories that,
want,
our news, our press releases and things like that,
Yeah.
discussing these kind of things, which are really nice. Because anytime we can get some PR out of it, it's great. But yeah, I'm glad you confirmed that, because I was thinking alumni, graduates, letting them know, here's the opportunity, because I assumed that the 40-hour week, that you didn't want to focus in on anything else, but you're saying it could be done online, come out, work. So,
Yeah, it all depends on how, how determined that person is.
right, exactly. So,
I just
We
want to
advise
express a
they
little
decide.
hesitancy, because we've talked about this. We want people to finish their associates,
Well,
so I'm a
that's-
little hesitant of, like,
Right.
encouraging people to go to your program when they haven't finished yet. I just
Well,
want you to
yeah,
know I'm a little
no, and
hesitant.
that's fair, and also looking at Frostburg State, how many students we've had to transfer to Frostburg State for your degree, and now we're saying, well, we can hire you, and a year later, you'll be at the same place you would be just 2 years later.
right.
So there's a lot of things there, but, the opportunities are out there.
Yeah.
And I think
So we play on an individual case-by-case basis. to
Right.
Decide whether a
Right.
student who's not yet graduated should apply for your program. Because
And I'm
we've basically
thinking
been encouraging the people that if you're going to graduate this December, to apply.
Yes,
Because
definitely.
they're ready to work.
Right.
Oh,
Those
yes.
are the best ones. They got more of the technical classes than anybody.
And they would have completed
Last
one class.
semester, maybe second class.
Right. And they're better prepared for the technical interviews and things like that you guys would have. So, yeah.
Are your application developers who you really want? Is that your people that you have?
Our 2 biggest growing centers, from an IT perspective, are cyber and application developers. So I wouldn't necessarily, like, personally, I work in application development side, so I definitely really want them, but cyber is also growing, so like super fast. There's other things that we do out there, but those are the 2 biggest, like, fastest growing centers right now. And we just, I know a lot of the application development side, we just can't find enough. There's always demand that we need to fill seats on and get people ready to work on some stuff. We just can't find enough.
And Nate, as we were talking about, that mirrors literally our program success right now is cyber and the program.
Yeah.
And it kind of falls into that. It's what you're seeing as far as that goes. You had mentioned 2 possible comments about student inputs.
Yes.
As far as, if you could share that, that would actually then wrap us up as far as what I would call ideas for future program. I imagine a lot of that may come out of these comments.
Right. So I have more detailed stuff, but I won't read them all. I can send it to you.
That would be
stuff.
fantastic.
But in general, the management team that has worked with the premises has been very impressed with the skill sets they come back with. Like, he just been kind of like great. He has a just a 4-year degree and worked for a number of years, and he was just really impressed as far as technical know-how. They can kind of get in and start solving problems and work on their own. So that's very good. The students themselves, they felt like they were fairly well prepared, right? So from that perspective, you guys did a good job getting ready to go. I think the biggest thing, and every one of them said basically the same thing, they want to work on JavaScript, from a technical perspective. We have to do a lot of Java, and we do JavaScript. They talk about, they're like, well, Visual Basic didn't really do a whole lot of help for us, because they're thinking, it's kind of similar, we talked about the Office stuff years ago, whenever you guys mentioned change that a little bit. If Visual Basic might be something that, if you're trying to get, it's more of an elective. If you want to experiment with it, or, you want to just kind of see if you like the kind of that realm, maybe something you play with a little bit. But if you're going to really be, working computer science, that's something you should be able to pick up pretty easily, right? On your own if you need to.
So let me just say, so you're saying you'd rather have them learn JavaScript than Visual Basic?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And
Yes.
Consider.
Right, and so really they really want to learn frameworks like AngularJS, React.js, that kind of stuff. I don't know, like that's what they learned right away, right? We threw them right into those different frameworks, and they're like, we should learn some of this stuff ahead of time. But my thinking from what I found, a good foundation in JavaScript would help them immensely once they move to this framework. So I think let's start there.
How about Node.js?
Node.js too. So Node and Angular and React, those are the 3 hot JavaScript frameworks.
What was the name you said?
React.js.
React, yes.
Which I may not have mentioned before. That was the one that came up hot recently. It happens all the time. So they just felt like they wanted to have more of a JavaScript type background, and that goes in with some of the web stuff, right?
Absolutely.
About that.
Absolutely.
And earlier about the fact that web development now is kind of like more the norm versus a specialty. So really just pulling that all together would be helpful. But
from your perspective in terms of web development, do you think, how rooted into the fundamentals should we be? I mean, should we go headlong into like code like we do, like, well, I say code, I'm sorry, HTML, CSS, understand how the constructs work, so should they have that? Or should we just say, here's a cool tool, this is called Dreamweaver, push a button, it's done? I mean, how
Well, definitely not the second.
What's that?
Definitely not Dreamweaver.
Okay.
So, and the reason I say that, I think the role you guys can play is building that foundation, right? So really getting into the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, that kind of stuff. And right now, let the frameworks and this stuff up to us, right? Because if they have a very strong, it's just like we do with the 4 degrees in Java, right? You guys do that now with Java. If they have a very strong foundation in Java, we can then teach them frameworks on top of that, because the frameworks are going to change frequently. So as the core, right? As the core part of the program. Now, it would be cool to see maybe some electives around like some of the more advanced things potentially to do like an Angular or maybe like a 12 or something that does some of that stuff or Node or something.
Well, the transformation with the web that we were talking about is somewhere like what used to be called advanced web page development, where we would teach the in the web page HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript. Then moving into the advanced would be more of the server side, like Node.js,
Right,
JavaScript. That right there is where they would get bang and then bang.
Right.
So it would be JavaScript, Node.js, so they could see to develop, the scripting languages itself and the back end, which is where I believe Node.js really. It used to be, because we do have, I could even revamp what's called web programming right now, which is we primarily focus on SQL, MySQL, PHP.
Yes.
It's all kind of open source. That's where we kind of fell in there. But maybe that's something we could look at where we could shift that.
Yeah, potentially. So PHP is still used. We just don't use it.
I understand,
Right. So,
but you guys being in the back, this
yeah.
may be a way. This is a transition for us.
Right.
Again, we talk about making it sexy and practical. In my opinion,
Right.
that these would be languages or scripting languages that I think would work. So just to dovetail on what Dick asks. So maybe Office, Visual Basic, which is now our Comp 230, which is called Intro to Programming. That Dennis teaches is more like BB. Maybe this is something.
That would be an easy curriculum switch because the catalog may not even say Visual Basic.
No, it doesn't. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
That is
now
why
it's JavaScript.
we did that deliberately. We did that deliberately so we
Yeah.
could change the content without having to change the course description. Because once the curriculum changes, might as well pull your teacher.
And the beauty of that is like you don't need an IDE for JavaScript. You just
Right?
bring up Notepad, start typing
Start
away,
typing,
boom.
look at it in the browser, see what happens. Yeah. So that's, definitely something. I'm excited.
Anything else you want us to know?
Yeah, what it's.
You'll send us a little more detail.
Yeah, I'll send you
yeah.
some feedback because I collected.
Okay.
But then also like I've kind of more of the highlights and
Yeah.
some repetitive stuff. So using something like Git, they didn't like Blackboard, which is ironic because right. So
They said they told you they didn't like
right,
Blackboard?
yeah,
Okay.
like they're like
Well, we're switching from Blackboard. And
right. We use a lot of Git,
Uh-huh.
and it just
Well,
having
those are
that.
totally like Blackboard's a money management system. Git is a repository.
A code
repository. So
Right.
those aren't really apples to apples comparisons.
But if you're turning in assignments,
Yeah, we could have them turn them into Git.
right, and other
You've mentioned that before. but I
Yes.
haven't done it.
yeah. So they brought that up.
Okay. Oh, they did.
Yes, they said, well, you should be doing something Git, and just having that kind of, because there's some fundamental things that we have to teach them right away that you can kind of do at this level that
They've never even spelled
they
Git.
have no idea what a code repository is, and so just knowing that, oh, I put code here, and then eventually get to the point where you guys, because the whole point of Git is shared code, right? And that's really the key thing is if you have a team project, then they're all turning it together, and it's actually working together and stuff like that. They will not use that. I mean, we'll see how that goes.
Maybe
but I
that
think
could be folded into JavaScript. They turn that, they post their assignments in Git for the JavaScript class.
they forget, essentially. So, another thing was they wanted to use Docker. So Docker. I don't know if you guys have used Docker at all. So Docker is really hot right now. Everything's being containerized. So Docker is basically the tool that makes most people are using to containerize things, and you actually can. And FSU does do this. They encourage their students to really run a project to actually develop a Docker file along with the project. So that's something else they had brought up is looking at that. So that might be a little more advanced, but something to think about. Maybe
Does Docker develop containers, or I'm not sure.
Docker essentially it's kind of like the format that the container is based off of, right? So you would say a Docker file is almost like a JavaScript file, so to speak, that says, here's what you must do to set up your environment, so you must run this program, right? It's like an instruction set to say, you know, here's what my environment looks like, so this program will now successfully run.
The reason I ask is because one of the sessions I went to at Tech of the Gap, we were talking about containers and how they are now the real crux of what they want to do is develop more security built into the container parts, because otherwise it's out there but maybe not secure as it should be. And so that was where the group, obviously, because that's what the guy was talking about, security. So I just wondered if that might be involved with that somehow.
Well, I mean, it can help you improve your security from a application runtime perspective, because now, let's say you need to have, you have Java or something like that running on your server. A container has a little more control as far as, from a security perspective, how deep you can get into that Java version that's already there, right?
Right.
So there's other advantages from that perspective. But that's something that they use a lot of in stock agents. They have exposure to that at this level. From my perspective, this is kind of going above and beyond what their feedback is. We do a lot of cloud stuff in the cloud, and we're going to do more things in the cloud. The federal government is, right now highly interested. I work on RFIs all the time, so on RFPs on cloud migrations. So just kind of introducing them to that concept and stuff, maybe incorporating it. There's so much stuff getting away for free. All the major cloud providers give you stuff for free. I mean, your Amazon free account, you run a whole web page for cost nothing, right? Same thing with Azure, and IBM does it too, and Google, all that stuff. So, thinking about how to incorporate some of those thoughts and concepts into your coursework, and that kind of goes with probably, it ties into some of the networking stuff you guys do, cybersecurity, all that stuff. Is, instead of having virtual box, set up some EC2 in Amazon instead. It's the same thing, it's just now it's in the cloud, right? So just kind of think about that. Yeah, that's pretty much the crux of what I have so far.
That's really great to come from the students.
Yeah, and when I was talking and I was asking them for information, you guys have been really good about when I provide information, is make changes to the coursework and stuff like that too. So I was like, give me information, give your information, I can go back. We have made adaptations to the program over the course of the year. So that's just testament to committee and how well it's been working over the last 5 years or so since I've been on. So.
Yeah, since we lost Bill, like I said, and sure, I appreciate you coming in today, sitting in for Randy. But if you want to be a PAC member, let us know, and you can come too. We want to try to get as many people
We want
involved
programs
as possible.
too.
Yeah, as many people as possible, because this is where we get kind of get an eye of view, because we say here on campus we live in our little silos, and as I mentioned, in academia, when it does move, it moves slowly. It does. So, and Frostburg, we're not unique in that respect, because I'm kind of like, hurry up and wait, I want to see what we can do. And we're always exploring, like Dick is looking now at developing, for operating systems, a whole course related to Linux, so we can, really focus on that. And then, but then again, it's always what it comes down to is who can we retool ourselves, retrain to teach it.
So how are you guys doing the Linux? Sorry, the Linux course. How are you guys? What's your foundation?
Well, right now, what we teach is a combined, it's called operating system, which is half Windows and half Linux.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do is to have an entire three credit course on Linux and an entire 3 credit course on Windows operating system.
From a cyber perspective?
Well, kind of from a broad brush perspective of like how do you install it, what the internals look like a little bit, and how do you use the shell, because from an application developer point of view. So I haven't chosen a textbook yet, but I'm looking at it.
So running VMs and stuff?
Yeah, we'll do a lot of everything on VMs.
Yeah, that's the example that you could do cloud-based very easily, right? And then, you just go to like Amazon. There's so many distributions of Linux.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
So,
we also could have the students install VirtualBox on their own computers. We have VirtualBox. We have VirtualBox on all.
well, you can have the students install VirtualBox on an Amazon instance and run a digital virtual machine inside of it, right? I mean, you can go really deep into it. And then all of a sudden, the requirements of the machines,
Yeah.
the requirements of the machines are irrelevant, right? So now you don't have to worry about, whatever they bring in. They can bring in, the computer that the parents gave them after 10 years old, and they can still remote into a machine that's actually like a real server that they can do stuff with.
Using Amazon Web Services? Or?
Yeah, I mean, all of them, all the different, like anything you can run on a hub, like you run, which one is it? The web services. Azure,
Azure.
EC2.
Is Azure, IBM?
No, Azure is Microsoft.
Microsoft. That's
And
what I'm sorry.
IBM Cloud now. We've renewed it like 6 times.
Yeah,
It's called IBM
yeah.
Cloud.
Gotcha.
And so is that particularly for educational institutions or for anybody that people can get free accounts and do the stuff you're saying?
Anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah, now there's a level, right? So it's just one of those things where there's a free tier. Like, I know Amazon pretty well. I've worked with them a lot. So Amazon's a free tier that it's, if you want to get like the big heavy duty servers, then you have to pay money for them. But, a lot of times usually you run them for, an hour or two and then you turn them off and they don't cost you.
Here's what we do right now, in like the cybersecurity class. The textbook publisher provides a server environment. You see on the browser they log into. So they're running a total virtual network.
Okay.
Let's call it game hardware.
Right.
The students just running a browser, which is what you're suggesting we do, that they set up on Amazon.
Yeah, and I'm saying the same thing, but now you're using a tool that's used in industry.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be better. Also, it costs students $120 for the privilege of doing what I just described.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, I went through, I took some Amazon certification. And during the course of that, I set up a bunch of different websites, different virtual private clouds, basically it was up a network in the cloud and had like security applied to it, all that kind of stuff. I spent $10 over the course of 3 months. And that's because I left stuff on by accident. So if I turned it all off, it would cost less than $12. It's very, very, to do things at a low level of CPU and where Amazon makes their money is on storage and heavy compute power. Right, so if you're not running heavy compute power, you're doing some lightweight stuff, and you're not storing, petabytes of data, you can get in there and mess around with it very well. Right, so, and I'm sure Microsoft has always been really good about educational institutions and giving, throughout their entire existence. So there's probably a program out there that you guys might be able to get, a grant for them to get this stuff for free and let them give a little bit more horsepower and stuff. But it's just thinking about things differently. Right?
I'm glad you mentioned all that, because we tend to depend upon the textbook publishers that provide that for $120 kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we can do it.
And there's a push in Maryland
Plus,
too.
yeah, and you were,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, keeping the costs down for students, especially when it comes to books. The open
Educational resource,
yeah.
I'm on the OER committee, and that's one of the things that we're really focused on now, is trying to move away.
Right. Yeah.
Cengage saw the writing on the wall, and Cengage Unlimited, if we all, as faculty, got on the same page, student buy $118, and then all the textbooks are pretty much covered, if all of us were to do that. That'd be great if the resources are available, totally open. What we're finding is, yeah, there's some good stuff, but there's also not a lot of good stuff out there available, but
It's a lot of time.
yeah, it's gonna take more time.
all
University of
that
Maryland is
stuff
totally
As far as that
open.
goes too, members of our cyber club and other students too, cybersecurity club, all of those guys are talking about Linux, they want to install Linux on that, and want something to play with. One of these over here, we're probably going to end up putting Linux on there, just so they can play with it.
And how much is Linux used in your environment?
Heavily.
Heavily.
The system that we just built that we put in production, it's 95% Linux.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to know that.
Yep.
We definitely need
Yeah,
Linux.
absolutely, so
It's all
we're
fine.
moving in the right
I
direction.
mean, Windows is still used, right? And Linux is just, everything from the federal government, the open source is king right now. So Linux is open source, number of license costs, it's.
So we're hearing themes, open source, cloud-based, these
Right.
things that, JavaScript, that's what my use. So yeah, I really appreciate all the input, and yes, all the detailed stuff, fire it our way, so we can digest and move through it. Any other comments? Because it's been almost 2 hours, which kind of half hour longer than I was hoping, but this has been a good conversation today. A lot of input from everybody. So any other comments, concerns, questions?
Anybody remotely have a question?
No, I think I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
He's still awake. Yay!
It could be embarrassing to say, anybody remote have a question? Anybody awake?
Well, and he heard it, says a
He
whole lot
heard
for the guy's attention span.
Well, guys, I'll officially adjourn the meeting. If there isn't anything, and again, I appreciate it. Just to forewarn you, we do have another PAC meeting in the spring. Generally, over the last 2 years, what we have done, and you know, we'll debate this when the time comes. But this usually around April or May. Last 2 years have been very successful. Dave, you always give us some great input. We do what's called a virtual online PAC meeting because I know everybody remotely, we all have busy schedules. Basically, what happens is we come up with a series of questions, comments, concerns. It's sent out as an email, and then for 2 weeks we have this window open to where you send your input. So it's worked out well, and believe it or not, that's considered a meeting. So what we can do is, so come April or so, be prepared. And anytime you want to reach out to me or any one of us here, please feel free. Don't think, oh, I'll see him twice a year. Anytime you want to reach out, please do. The door is always open, or call. But I'm just saying, again, we will meet in the spring, and most likely it'll be done via email. So if you see a bunch of questions come your way, take the time. We just do a thread. What we do then is after 2 weeks, we close it down. We give it to Marcia. We kind of go through and massage it into minutes, and then send it out, which is really helpful for her because we have text that we can look at and kind of massage through and clean it up and make it look okay.
So for her, because she has to do all the work, we just make it easier for her to do all.
Exactly. He said, doctors, what?
But it was
Is
a
that something
compliment.
we wear?
It was a compliment.
So, well, thank you guys. But I'll see you guys have a great break as far as like I'll see most of you next week. And for those of you, have a great holiday.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Ever use.
Thank you.
See you, Derek.
See you, Derek.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dennis. Bye, Steve.
One phrase you can never use it.
What is that? Not me anyway. No, technically speaking, the last day of class
Monday.
is Monday. Grades are due Wednesday.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure. I always get paranoid because it's different at FSU.
Oh,
so I
FSU just, the way they get to finals and all that stuff, I'm sitting there thinking, I've been auditioning for that for years. All your typical classes, but
Yeah. Well, yeah.
My backpack weighs like
to go take your final.
I get it's a common.
Yeah.
You give it 3 hours.
We're an hour and 15 minutes. You come in, we actually have a final. It's the hour and 15 minutes. That's all the day in class. So for me, for example, I have 3 days.
Do things by Friday, so I have time to maybe.
Like I said,
I've been talking to her a little bit on Sunday night.
it's Sunday. It's about 14 Monday. Monday's just.
Well, I have to keep those things straight in my head, I mean, I don't want to be the one to.
No. So, trust me, 1 year. Took my friends. Finally, letter roll this thing. But I didn't want to turn in every. Right, just giving her. It's all great. I walked in. Yeah, right, yes, indeed. I like Kurt Hoffman is now. I like Kurt Hoffman. And that was for years I was that. And I went, immediately? Really? Again, all that. Anybody else. Because the reason they wanted me on was necessarily for fall graduation. I got turned around. What? You know what? I interfere with you, your brother, your mother, anybody. They don't get on that day. They're not getting it. But no, I really have to do everything. And I think it's looking pretty good as far as the numbers. I'm thinking the reason that one might get you because people end up taking up all else. Right now, we have the first they're teaching that.
Yeah.
Day after you're definitely on the book, so I'm thinking that was already so we're probably gonna see the restart. Going back to Northern College, who love me just equally as bad.
Now I know what that is.
I did not. And it was nice today because Dan, I first time I met him. I mean, it's online, you know, talk, email, but yeah, it's too big. Yes. But personally, this is so nice. As well. I mean, I want to brag about it. Letters, we're not just like, all right. And it's a really nice bit too. Alumni, all the presentation. But you're like, is your PhD in instruction? My master's is in right, exactly. Same here. Same here. So it's kind of like. Programming, it's like I like it to teach you, but I understand about on it. All day long. It's all the same. Jack off oh yeah. Because there is a belief that sort of everybody gets to want to say that that's what you're saying. All those things where I can tell you right now, and I'm like, you know, forever. But I think you know, it is good to absolutely to hear what you guys are good at problem solving. That is one of our top number one programming goal for a program, I should say, is that we want to use it from.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I don't like having that all the time. One day, problems. Some days, that is what makes me go home exhausted.
And crank up all the right network. And also, I just go out, see if they.
When my mail comes home, I get and go to bed.
Same system.
That's all you do. That's exactly. No worries in the world. Exactly. And then you're done. I'm like, you're done. sir, friction is why are you in it? I tell you, when I first started, I thought, okay, I'm going to my sterling personality is going to everybody's successful. That lasted for approximately one semester.
So those are
Second semester,
starting in
I could have literally led into water. I couldn't drink water. And it was a and marijuana. I was students that came in, tell they were marijuana, and they just eventually just I guess they were all doing their thing. And I had to fail, and there was just no way about it. In my son,
Well, it's a couple of issues.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
why don't I?
And here's the other